Welcome to Encouraging Wellness, where we shed light on the plethora of holistic healing and wellness methods so you can give yourself the power to ask why and become bigger than the condition you are dealing with or the illness you are currently fighting. Join Pamela Wirth as she sits down with doctors, medical experts, healthcare practitioners, and those with unique healing stories to dissect groundbreaking practices that combine traditional Western medicine with alternative modalities. Hear conversations that empower you to go beyond hurtful stigmas, outdated practices, and unnecessary labels, guiding you towards a healthier and happier you. Here, we highlight your true worth and help unleash your inner courage. Now your host, Pamela.
Hi, this is Pamela Wirth from Hello Health, and today I have Belqui. Belqui, you are an amazing individual. I first had the pleasure of meeting your husband many, many years ago in the hotel industry and the technology industry, and then subsequently got to meet the better half. And so you've been an incredible person throughout your journey, actress to professional entrepreneur to advocate, and would love to hear a little bit more about you and your journey.
Well, it's been a very long journey, and the way that I describe it is there's no way that I could have planned it. So I started out with these goals, right? Which was to be an actor. I was a marketing executive. And then because I needed to have a degree, because my parents would have killed me if I didn't have one. As immigrants to the United States, they expected their children to have a degree and not go to college. So I did that. And then, a few years into my degree working in corporate America, I decided, I don't want to do this. I really want to follow my heart. And that was, I want to be an actor. And then I quit at 25 and became an actor and did that up until I had my second child, which is my son with autism and a million other issues. And that was it. Like my life just changed completely. So I became a stay-at-home mom. And while I was at that, I was like, you know what, let me get myself, I don't even know if it was educated, but I really wanted to help other moms. So instead of becoming a psychologist, which I thought would be really easy to do, it wasn't as easy as I thought because it would be several more years in school. So I became a certified coach. That took about a year to get certified. And then after that, I helped parents and moms and couples, and because you have to practice on typical people at first and then go into your specialization. And then from there, I found that I really wanted to cook. And then because that had saved me, not just since I was a 12-year-old girl helping my parents out, but then more so when I found myself stuck at home, having therapists coming into my home. So that became something that was huge in my life. And the food blogging began, YouTube content creating, and now I'm a food blogger and YouTube content creator and recipe developer for brands that I don't get credit for. This is just like they pay me and I create recipes for them, and that's how it kind of goes. So that's what I'm up to now, and I love it. If it fills me in a way that I have no words to describe, it's my passion. It's what makes me feel whole as a person, as a mom, in every way.
That's super. So tell us, where did your parents emigrate from, and how do you feel like that's either impacted in a positive or not so positive way when it comes to health and wellness? Like, what are some of the things you learned or differences or anything like that?
So my parents immigrated from the Dominican Republic to the United States. And I was born in the United States. I was born in New York, and I actually was born in New York, and then I was raised between the two countries. So I would go a few years there, a few years here, up until I was 15. And I honestly cannot see a negative to it at all. I see 100% positive. Why? Because it taught me what it was like to live a very humble life, especially in the United States, where we were not rich people and we lived obviously in a community that was poor, and then being able to see what the island life was like, which is also very humble. And we lived off of a lot of fruits and vegetables. And yes, right. I mean, not well, a lot of rice, because Dominicans love rice and beans. But for example, like if you were having chicken, you were not having chicken that was injected with hormones. You were literally going to a farm near your house, literally where you can walk to it and then pick the chicken you wanted, which is insane that you can literally go pick a chicken and you're like, that's the perfect chicken. You pick that chicken, they clean the chicken out for you, and then you take it home. So no hormones, nothing involved where anything was injected with anything. So therefore, it was a very clean eating. And of course, the chickens are nothing like what we see here in the United States. They were small and not a lot of meat on them, but they were so delicious, like so much better than what you get here in these big pieces of chicken that you get. So therefore, I feel like not only did I get to experience food in another way than we experience in America, but also life in another way. It was very simplistic. In where we lived, we would lose electricity for sometimes 10 to 12 hours a day. So we would have no electricity. We had water heaters. Some people did, some people didn't. The people who had water heaters, it didn't help you if you didn't have electricity, right? So therefore, it just helped me see what simpler living is like. So when I experience things here in America, I'm very much like, well, yes, it's an inconvenience, but it's not the end of the world. Like, it's fine. It'll be fine. Everything kind of come together. So I feel like it was more of a positive than it was ever a negative. I can't really come up with a negative other than positive from the experience.
I can imagine. And especially, all the news that comes out about all the processed food and things that can happen to your body now.
Yes.
Did your family ever teach you anything about like certain herbs that would help with certain things, or what did people do when they were sick, or like, old wives' tales or whatever? I mean, sometimes they.
To be honest with you, there was not a lot other than like if you had a sore throat, you would take some lemon and honey with water, which is, I hear in America, people do that as well, like warm water and lemon and honey. And then that would be what would make your throat feel better. And then there were like the weird things where it's like, okay, you have hiccups. Oh, you have the hiccups. Okay. Well, in America, I hear like you scare people or something
Right.
like that. And then it stops. Never helped me. But over there, you take like a little piece of like a string of cloth. Okay. And then you wet it with your mouth and then you put it right here. And
that's hilarious.
Sounds so weird, but you put it right here on your forehead and it's supposed to make it go away. Now, did it ever work for me? No. What did work for me, which was really weird, was whenever I used to always get headaches and migraines as a teenager. And my grandmother, when I was over there, so I think my headaches or my migraines started around 12, 13, really bad. And she would do these like things where she would like rub my temples here. And then she would do these massages over my eyes. And I swear to God, she would massage me for like 5 minutes. I didn't need a pill, and my headaches and my migraine, because they would be so bad where I'd be like nauseous and not feel good. Yeah. They would go away. And I don't know what she was doing. She just had these pressure points that she said worked.
That's awesome.
And it worked and even though I try to replicate them now when I get headaches and it doesn't work like hers. I think she just had like that magic touch. She knew what she was doing, basically.
That's awesome. Well, one of the things that you've been so vocal about and so kind is you're always very open about your experiences and about who you are and your life experience, and almost acting like a mentor in so many different ways. What are some of your favorite ways of kind of attracting and reaching out to people and connecting and helping people? Is there anything that you particularly find that really fills your cup?
To me, it's more about educating people, especially if it's having to do with autism, which, I've had so many years of dealing with autism, severe autism, nonverbal autism, which is, not as at least shown in the media, people sharing as prevailing, right? It's more about giving people hope. So for me, I meet someone, I feel like I can help them, I can get them through certain situations that they're going through. And basically, it's about making them feel that there's nothing that they can't accomplish, that their child can't accomplish, but that their child needs them to be their cheerleader, right? Mm-hmm. So that's basically the most important thing that I have realized, even as a parent, is that your child needs obviously the help outside of your home with therapists and everything else, but they need a cheerleader at home, someone that when they come home, they feel safe, mm-hmm. that they feel that when they come home, like everything's just going to be all right. Like no great expectations. There's no one harming me. Mm-hmm. I just feel safe and I feel loved. And even though my son can't tell me he loves me back, like I tell him I love him so many times a day, the poor kid is probably like, I'm so over you. So the minute he wakes up, it's like, I love you, honey. I give him a hug. And I know that these kids, at least him, he loves like those high pressure massages. So in the morning, he's so tired. He doesn't want to get up to go to school. And then I'm like, you know what, honey, I'm just going to love up on you for at least 5 minutes. And then I rub him. I just give him like deep pressure massages. And as I'm doing it, I say, I love you. You're so precious. I love you. And I just give him a lot of affirmative words and phrases where hopefully he understands, because he can't tell me that he does. But I really do think that he does, because I see in the smile and on his face, and it just like, he just like, you just see it. He just takes it all in. And then within 5 minutes, like he's ready to go. Like I'll push his, like I said, right here on his shoulders. And then I push his back down and you can hear his little back cracking. And then you can see he's like, and he loves it. And that's basically the way that I start with him every single day. And I think I might have gotten off topic here, but just talking about him and the things that I feel that make him happy. I think us as special needs parents, like it should be all about making them feel safe, feel loved, understood, and that we got their back in everything that they want. So if I see anything is off in him, I am delving deep in there to see what is going on that I should be looking into. Any little thing that I see that's off, I look into.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I had gotten similar advice when we were going through some things. And basically the end of the road that was told to me was no one else is going to be their advocate. They're literally a child, and no one else is going to care for them the way you do. So it's up to you to go figure it out and make it happen.
Yes.
And that's 100%. Really hard to find that strength to go do it.
Yes, 100%. And sometimes like, I feel like people might think some way about me because I wouldn't say that I would be aggressive, but I'm very much assertive about, well, this is going on. What's going on over there? And what, and then I'm very inquisitive in a very straightforward way, but nice, obviously never in a way where it feels like I'm being aggressive towards the person that I'm asking. Yeah. But I really feel that as parents, like we know our children best. It doesn't matter whether they spend all day at school, even after they're 18, I think we already know the person that we formed. Right. And we kind of know like when something's not right and something's off, we know, and we follow our gut. And I think we should never be faulted for following a gut as parents who raise these children for how many years, So that's why I say in my mind, I'm never really wrong. And I honestly have never really been wrong ever. Even when we've had issues with our son, which at one point he was mistreated by an aide when he was much younger. He's 12 now. It was like around 6 or 7 or something that he was being mistreated. And something was just telling me in my heart and my soul, something's not right. by the way he was acting. And I followed my gut, and then it was right. So I say we as parents, we really do know our children the best, no matter how many times these professionals spend time with our children.
Yeah. I mean, speaking to your fierce warrior, you made a huge move from New York to Arizona. Why did you make the move? What did you find was most helpful? What are some things to look for? What are some things to avoid? Any helpful tips that you have for parents that may have autistic children that need more?
So what I found is that every state is completely different. So when we moved to Arizona, we were considering weather, which was the main thing for us. Was, this little guy loves to swim. We can't have year-round swimming in New Jersey. In Arizona, you can have a heated pool in the colder months, and then he'd be happy. And that regulated him, with his sensory needs. And we were like, okay, we really want to make sure that he's got what he needs. Mm-hmm. So that was what really prompted our move here, and we felt was the perfect move. But when you're making decisions like we did moving here, you have to consider what are the options for your child. In our case, yes, we knew we were moving to where we wanted to move for those conditions. But then there was also the fact that Arizona has really great programs for people with disabilities, and for them even after they're an adult. So they have their DDD program, developmental disabilities, program. They accept you if you have developmental disabilities, but on top of that, then there's long-term care, which you add on to DDD. And then that would be more for my son, which is someone who really needs a lot of help in everyday life, right? So we knew that we had that available. We didn't even know how many hours or anything that we would get, but we knew that the system was better than where we were living. So we were like, okay, so we came here, and we were astounded to find that in Arizona, for our son who's nonverbal and needs a lot of help. Like if I tell my son, go get me your shoes, he doesn't know what I'm saying to him. He's confused. So we're talking someone who really needs a lot of help, but somehow learned how to swim. So, that's why we can't always say that they can't do, what you think they can't, they can do anything. It's about obviously keeping going. But then going back to what I was saying, they gave us so many hours of respite, which means you get hours where you can have someone help you with picking up your kids from school, taking them to school, taking them to, therapies like, ABA therapy, PT, physical therapy, occupational therapy, feeding therapy, speech therapy. So not only do we have that person that helps us with respite, but then we also have the therapies that we also were given by long-term care. So we have all these hours every week of respite and hours of therapy that we were given through this program. And on top of that, we have HAB. So basically think of rehab. So HAB hours are for us, for our family, because every family gets a different amount of hours. Ours is 15 hours a week of just HAB. So that does not include the respite hours where we can go, have dinner or they can pick them from school, whatever it is. We also have the HAB, which they come in and you have to be home as a parent. And then they help you with toothbrushing, with all those things that they need to learn, whether it's putting on their underwear, whether it's taking a bath, and soaping yourself up properly and cleaning yourself. So, we did not actually know that we had all these options here. But I really highly suggest that if you're going to move from where you're living, really look up what your availability is for your child in that state, because it makes a difference. And from all the parents that I have met so far since moving here to Arizona 4 years ago, Arizona actually has a really great program. So we feel that although we moved here because of the weather, we got so much more than we were expecting. So we're really happy with the decision that we made.
That's really great. Did it take a long time to apply and be qualified for the programs like that?
No. So the application process is super fast. So that was like super easy, but obviously you have to have all the documentation from when they were little, and their first diagnoses, all that. Then you go through an interview process of whether they qualify or not, whether they're too high functioning or something like, there's a lot of different little things that would disqualify you.
Yeah.
But in honesty, it wasn't too fast, but we did get denied because of some sort of paperwork that was missing the first time. And I don't even remember at this point what it really was, but I just remember like, what? He got denied. And then I completed the paperwork and then we passed it because I'm like, he's so low functioning. How can he not be qualified for long-term care? Because in Arizona, we need to have DDD. If you have an autism diagnosis, you automatically qualify for DDD, but then all the other services, they only come to you from long-term care. Mm-hmm. You cannot get all those services only by qualifying for DDD. So you have to qualify for long-term care. And then that's where we had to like really bring in all these documents to support the fact that he was low functioning. And so far, it's been great. Like we've found the most amazing therapists. We're very, very grateful for the fact that we not only moved to where we wanted to be at, but also found the resources and the support that we needed here. So, yeah.
No, that's super. Arizona gets a pretty bad rap for education. And it's my experience that there are great schools, there are medium schools, there are really not so good schools. And I think a lot of it kind of depends on what you're looking for and if you want private or public or charter or whatever. I mean, how have the schools been for you and what you need?
So to be honest with you, which is what's very interesting that you're asking me this question. So let's go for my one son who's 14. He's not the one who's severely on the spectrum, right? He's done really, really well in the public school district. So I'm like, okay, I don't think he needs to go to private or do anything like that. For my son with autism, I wanted him in private school when we got here, but we understood that there was this 90-day requirement in public school in order for you to be able to apply for the loans where they would cover, which is ESA, where they would cover private school for you, where the state would cover the private school for you. So we did the 90 days, but we loved the classroom he was in public school.
Wow.
And then I was like, he's so happy in this classroom. I'm like, I don't want to pull him out of there. So then he ended up staying. And it was great because, yes, could he have had other supports in the private school? Maybe, but a private school does not have to follow an IEP. Mm-hmm. So that's something that we all have to remember. A private school is not by law having to follow it. So therefore, I thought, okay, you know what? He's really happy here. Let's just keep him here. And then we can still follow this IEP, which they modified from what came back from the East Coast for us. And then long story short, they were really full with kids and he was still in district, but he was a little bit of a distance from that school. And they said, oh, he has to go to another school after being in this one classroom for a year and a half. And I was like, oh my God, it was a brand new classroom. This teacher had not taught in a school. Anyway, I was like livid. I was like, no way am I gonna, whatever. So I put him in private school. So I pulled him out of public and then he had already served that 90-day, right? So I went, I applied for the ESA loan or what, not loan, the coverage of his school. And then he got approved. And then we put him in a private school. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this is great. Now he's in private school. He can't go to this other school, but that's fine. He's in private school. That's what we wanted at the beginning, right? So great. It turned out that the private school was so bad, even though it had a good reputation, it was really badly run. I'm not going to say much more about what I found there, but it wasn't at all something I felt comfortable with. He had trouble going there every single day. In all the years of schooling, I'd never seen anything like that from him, where he didn't want to go to school, where he didn't want to get out of the car when we got there. And so he did an entire school year there. And every single day, my heart was breaking every single time I dropped him off to go to school, because I was like, I know that he's probably not being mistreated, but he clearly isn't happy here. And then I found out there was an opening back at the other school, because what had happened was they ended up with an influx of kids in their autism program. So they had to get rid of some of the kids that live further out. And that's why they were trying to move him to another school in the district. So when I found out that they had all these kids move up, I immediately contacted them and said, can we apply again for him to go back in? They said yes, they accepted him. And then he went right back into that school in the same classroom with the same teacher and aides. And it has been the best couple of years now. He is going to move on now, though, for junior high.
Yeah,
which
it's always
scares
scary.
me. It's so scary. And he's going to move on to another school. But the plus is that I know parents that were in this classroom whose kids moved on to other schools. So now I can get their feedback on how are their kids doing that are low functioning, right, in these other schools, and get some sort of information that will make me feel, or us as a family, more comfortable. So I feel like there's like that silver lining of, yeah, he's going to move on now. I made him repeat the 6th grade. So he really should be going into 8th grade next year. But I thought, he's probably going to be in there till he's 21, because that's the law here. They can be in school till 21. So that's okay. Let him repeat a grade and let him be happy with the friends that he knows and the teachers and aides that he knows.
Yeah, no, that's super. It's funny. We've had experience in private, charter, and public, and had a lot of discussions on this. And it does blow me away, the protections that the public school system does provide in a really positive way. It's something to consider for sure. So
yes.
Fantastic. Is there anything that I didn't ask, anything that you want to talk about, any favorite recipes that your family loves, anything that is a feel good?
It's a feel good. So for me, honestly, it's whatever makes your child happy that I like to feed my child. So I already know, like, he loves, like, I make this beef with caramelized onions. It's a Latin dish. And, you cook down the beef in thin slices, and then it's like a petite sirloin, and you pound it a little bit before to tenderize it. And then you cook it in a little bit of oil and spices. And then once it's halfway through, or maybe a little bit more, then you throw in the onions, yellow onions, a little bit of cilantro on top, and then you let that cook down, and then the onions are super soft, and then you get all that flavor from the onions all over that beef. For like, he loves it, my son, but even my older son loves it as well. And for me, it's about foods that are whole, that are with not a lot of preservatives or dyes, things like that. That's what I look for. If I go with organic, the most part of the time, even with my seasonings, I use, we have adobo, which is a very big Latin thing that we like to use. And I use a brand called Loisa. It has, it's everything is organic and just very, very, safe and clean to eat. So that's what I love to season with. And their oregano is amazing, and their saffron is amazing. So that's what I'd like to basically focus on. Is it's not necessarily like you're still having your starch, right? You're still having your potatoes and your rice and all of that, but it's cooked with ingredients that are more wholesome and safer and healthier for you. And then I try to do, even though corn oil gets a bad rap, it's actually good for your heart health. It's actually good for your cholesterol. Like, people need to look it up, because it's not that bad for you. For some reason, everyone always thinks olive oil is the best, But when it comes to olive oil, I prefer to use olive oil for my Italian dishes, not necessarily for my Latin dishes, because they will not go well. But I do think people need to educate themselves about certain oils and what their benefits are. There are oils like coconut oil and stuff, but they're very, very, very high on certain fats that are not actually good for you and a clog, like artery clogging. So I just feel like, it's really about your family and what their preferred foods are. And then you go from there to tailor it to be healthier.
Fantastic. So tell us where people can find out about all of your amazing recipes and where to find you online.
Yeah, so I'm a food blogger, YouTube content creator, and I also develop recipes for brands and spices and stuff like that. And I'm Belqui's Twist, BelquiSTWIST, Belqui'sTwist.com. And I have a YouTube page, obviously, a YouTube account. I have Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, I'm everywhere, TikTok, and they're all going by Belqui's Twist. And that's it. So my original idea was more about, twisting Latin recipes, cooking my typical Latin recipes, and then twisting them into maybe something like Asian and Latin together, like, I don't know, like a Cuban egg roll or something like that, which you're not expecting to find normally. But lately I've been starting to branch out to do a little bit more of American recipes like ribs and things like that, only because it helps the search engine to find my website. So I want to share a little bit more of different recipes, but that's basically, what I'm doing, and a couple other things that are coming up on the horizon that if everything works out, they'll be great.
Awesome. Well, I certainly love all of your recipes. So thank you, Belqui.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate it. And please be sure to check out Hello Health at www.hello.health. Thank you.
And you better go buy the Hello Health supplements because they are amazing. And I'm not just saying this because I am here in this podcast. It's because it is really an amazing line that you have. And I only see success coming and a lot of growth because you're just killing it. So I'm just very proud of you and Hello Health and what you're going to be accomplishing.
Thank you so much, Belqui.
You're welcome.
That's it for this episode of Encouraging Wellness. We hope this serves as an eye-opener to you on new ways to approach your health and wellness. By learning both unique and the best alternative wellness and healing methods, you can live your best life. Listen to more of our episodes at www.hello.health. Be sure to subscribe to the show and leave a rating. Together, let us work towards unlocking you and your family's best self. Thank you for listening. See you on the next one.